Hey everybody, it's Ray Davenport, your Director of Athletics, coming to you from my gym, or as it was once known, my kitchen. Today we're going to go through a full body kettlebell routine. If you don't have kettlebells, don't worry, just grab a dumbbell that you can handle. Grab a mat, create some space, and we'll get going. We'll take a look at this kettlebell workout number 1. It's going to be a circuit workout, so we'll perform 2 to 4 rounds of each circuit. It's going to be 3 exercises per circuit, and we'll do them in sequence. 1, 2, 3, and then repeat that again 2 to 4 rounds. The rep count will vary depending on the exercise and the weight of kettlebell that you're using. Just as a general guide, looking for that sweet spot between 5 and 15 repetitions. And if you're thinking some of these movements might not be for you, we will have variations, don't worry. Before we jump in, let's make sure our body is ready to move. The focus with all of our warm-up movements is just to prepare our body for the activity ahead. So we're going to move the spine in different planes, and we're going to warm up our lower body and our hips just so we're ready to go once we pick up that weight. Especially with our flexion, extension, and side bends, trying to move with our breath. So make sure to let each back and forth be controlled with an inhale and exhale. For side bends, leading with the hip, okay, trying to get long through one side. So at this point, you're probably becoming a little more familiar with my general warm-up routine. Next up is our reverse lunge with a reach. We're rotating to the outside of that front leg. Now, depending on how your knees feel, you may need to shorten up your stride here. There's really no extra benefit to taking a long lunge. It's just if you have that capability. So we can get as short as we need to here. The primary focus is getting a nice rotation through the chest and core. And we'll round out our warm-up with our single leg deadlift. So activating the hip, getting a decent stretch on the hamstring. Notice my knee stays centered over my ankle. If I need a little bit of support here, I can move over to the wall or a bench or chair nearby. Use that offhand to stabilize you. And now we're ready to get going. Taking a look at circuit number 1, kettlebell swing or deadlift, single arm shoulder press, and lateral kettlebell carry. So we'll show you level 1 for the kettlebell deadlift. Level 2 is going to be our swing. When you're doing these deadlifts, make sure you're hinging at the hips. Back is flat, core is engaged. The hips are the primary mover here. Think about setting that kettlebell down right between the heels. Feet are just a little bit outside of hip width. Eyes are fixated on a point, a couple feet in front of you. Make sure that neck is not craned up. Now, if you're familiar with kettlebell swings and are comfortable performing this movement, go ahead and grab your bell and start swinging. Hips are still the primary mover here. It's all about power. So hips are back, hips are forward, back still stays flat. Feet are hip width apart, eyes still fixed a little bit in front of you. Arms shouldn't be doing much work here at all. Next up, the single arm overhead press. Make sure that you get a comfortable grip on that bell. You'll notice it's resting just on the back of my right forearm. Stay nice and tall, shoulders level, feet in a stable position. Keep that core nice and strong. Now, if you've never done a lateral kettlebell carry, you'll find out very quickly why it's so difficult. Imagine you're stepping over a medium-sized hurdle, smaller if you need to. Just play around with the height there. The higher you go, the harder it's going to be. Shoulders stay pointed straight ahead. Book is balanced on the top of my head. Try to keep those shoulders level as well, so we don't want to sink into one hip more than the other. Once you've done your 2 rounds down and back, switch hands. And once you've finished with your lateral kettlebell carry, you'll loop back around and perform circuit 1 anywhere from 1 to 3 more times. Now it's time for circuit 2. goblet squat, single arm kettlebell row, and a plank with a kettlebell tap. Up first, we've got our kettlebell goblet squat. So bring that kettlebell just under the chin, up against the chest, and we'll begin squatting down. Feet are just outside the hips, just like with our deadlift. We want to try to keep that chest up as much as possible, eyes forward. You will notice our shin angle should match our spine angle, so it's okay to have a little forward lean here. Good goal is to try to get those elbows down to the knees or inside of the knees. If you need to squat to a bench, that's another option here. Next up is our single arm row. I'll show you level 1, which is supported, so my hand is resting lightly on that bench. Still very much activated into my hips. Notice that it's just my fingertips really supporting me here. And let's take a look at level 2. This is the freestanding version. We want to try to get our chest pointed as close to straight down as we can here. Hips are still very much engaged. Feet are hip width apart. One hand is tucked behind, that's to keep our shoulder blades in place. Now if you start to feel this in your low back at all, please go back to level 1. This is very demanding on the core stabilizers. Last up is our elbow plank with a kettlebell tap. We're going to assume our elbow plank position. The closer the feet are in, the harder it's going to be. We can widen them out for a little extra stability. And we're just going to reach out, trying to keep the hips from rotating at all side to side. So try to keep that torso nice and stable. And once you've finished up this set, repeat that circuit again 1 to 3 more times, and then you'll be ready for the last exercise. Saw it at the bottom of the list. We're finally there. The half Turkish Getup. A lot of you may be unfamiliar with this movement. That's okay. It's not as complicated as it might seem. We're just going to take a sit-up position with only one leg bent, one arm out to the side for support, the other arm pointed straight up towards the sky. We're performing what is effectively a sit-up, but we've got that opposite arm to help us up. Now this is just half of a Turkish Getup. You can imagine the whole thing is pretty tough. And for those more advanced, looking for a little more of a challenge, we can take a kettlebell, press it straight up over our chest. You can see it's straight, pointed towards the sky. Try to keep that straight line reaching tall and long. Shoulder is stable. Going to the forearm first, pressing into the palm, into that full sit-up position. The number of repetitions you'll be able to perform will depend greatly on the amount of weight you're using. So if it is a challenging weight, a heavy weight, 3 to 5 repetitions should be plenty per side. Now I didn't list it on the sheet, but I do want to take you through a full Turkish Getup. It's that first half that we've already gone through. Then we're going to press through the heel, lifting the hips, pull the leg through, knees on the ground, standing up, arms still pointed straight up. Rotate that back leg, adjust the front foot, and stand up from that kneeling lunge position. Then we're just going to reverse it. And that's it for our workout, folks. Hopefully you've seen how hard kettlebell workouts can be. They're great for developing strength and power all over. Also, definitely invite you to check out Kettlebell Burn class on Mondays and Wednesdays at 10 o'clock. Would love to see you there. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to shoot me an email.